Joe. Just wanted to go live to the community here, just because it's been a minute since I've talked about anything on here, and there's a reason for that. And there's lots of exciting things. It's almost like it's just been piling up, and now it's overflowing. So I was like, okay, I have to go live tonight. We gotta talk about stuff. So that's the reason. I just wanted to say hi to you all as well. And talk about some of the changes in StarHub that happened yesterday, I think it was. So we'll get started in just a second. Good to see everybody. Wow, everybody just like jumped on here and just piled in here so quick. It was pretty cool. Um, more and more I use StarHub here, the more I enjoy it. It's kind of weird. Like I have so many things going on and during the day and all these different platforms, right? And I'm used to those other ones. And then I come in here and this is kind of new, and even it's new to us, and yet I still like it. It feels fresh to me. It just feels different. And of course, it's the community that makes this special. It's not about the tech necessarily, but I always come in here. I'm like, man, this is so clean. It's just feels great, and I'm so excited to get creators on here to talk about their creations and their economies, and then fans to have raving fans talking about all the things they're doing. So as this is intended, this community Star Hub is to really be about StarStake, and more so, it's not even StarStake. It's the creations and the things that StarStake produces, and we're not seeing that yet, obviously, because we haven't launched. So um, I can't wait for that day, because I believe StarHub is really built for that. And when that time comes here soon, we'll be able to really enjoy this thing. So for now, you just have to listen to me, but we get to hang out together and we get to do some cool stuff. And soon it's going to be a party, that's for sure. So, all right. So I just want to see who we got on here. So many familiar faces. Samuel Shang, hey, what's up? My wife's son. She's probably in the kitchen cooking something. So I love it. Joseph, hey, good to see you here. Vu, Scott in the house. Dean, Tor, Clinton, Ray, Eric, Shelby, Dwayne, always. Good to see you. Yaz, Tim, Brian. Who else we got here? Rob Curtis, good to have you here. Uh, Good old Rich, Kelly, Erica, Nico, good to have you. Jen, and gosh, people are just coming in. So I won't take up too much of your time, but I just want to talk and chat to you. I have a more formal update for you all coming soon that you can share and that you can digest and pull apart and all this cool stuff. But I didn't want to wait, because it's just like I said, it's overflowing all the great cool things that we're doing. So I'm going to read some of my notes, but I wanted to clarify a few things, let you know what's going on in my world and what's going on in StarStake world, and the discussions that we're having, kind of just to be a little bit of a fly in the wall and understand, like, hey, these are the things we're talking about and where we're at and where StarStake's at in relation to getting launched and creators and who's coming, who's going, all these kinds of things. Okay. So that's really the purpose of this. Nothing formal, nothing fancy. I'm sure somebody will pick it apart somewhere just because that's what people do. But it's really important that we communicate. And I just want to do more of this and have some fun with it. Because, man, if you guys could just, and maybe I need to document this more. I know I do. Time permitting, of course, but just the things that we discuss on a daily basis, it's pretty mind blowing. And I don't think a lot of people get to experience that on a new company. And anytime you're a startup, the things that go into it are such a mystery, right? Like when you look at companies like SpaceX or some of these other, I mean, even like back in the day, Ford Motors, like the conversations that have to happen for a company to come out with a product, their first product, for a company to come out to the public and explain and share what they're all about and reiterate the vision and tell stories. And it's always constantly changing, and it's such a kind of a mystery to what people really get to experience, right? Like most people get to experience the iPhone or the car or whatever the byproduct is of that company. And so I think we'd be doing ourselves a bit of a disservice if we didn't share the behind the scenes conversations that we have, because some days they're good, some days they're amazing, and some days they're like, oh man, this is rough. Like, this is how are we going to get through this? Like, how are we going to figure this out? And the one thing that we have here as a company, and I will say this, um, we're so fortunate, and I'm so fortunate, and StarStake to have the team that we have, and the brains and the passion. You guys, I've had amazing executives work for me in the past and be part of projects I was part of, but I've never seen the level of passion that our team has for this and ownership of this product. They believe. They believe in doing the right things. They believe in quality and security, and the right values are in place. Um, and it's just really, really a great thing because it makes building something as hard as this so much fun. I mean, it really does. It just makes everything that much easier when it's that hard and you got some guy that you can call up, one of your execs, one of your team members, whether that's Cap um, or Tarek or Maria or our designers or developers. I mean, just to have them and have the ear and they're listening, always learning, always moving forward. It's really great. And look, not every day is a great day, and not every idea works out. Not everything is going to be polished day one, and we know that. But um, we're just super blessed and super fortunate to have the talent that we have here. Because, look, I mean, for people to come work for a startup, it's a risk, right? Like if you're going to leave a job, especially if you're that good, if you're really talented like we have here, to leave what you're doing before, if you're that successful, to come here, it's a risk because we're a startup. We can fail, companies fail, that's what happens. So it is a risk for them, and it means a lot to us to have them. So hey, Maria, good to see you. She's the hostess with the mostest around here. So let me just start out by just saying we've gone through a lot of exciting times here since, let's just say, since November, and since Mission NFTs were launched, and we started to like really talk about things and talk about the game that's coming. And believe me, we're in the knee deep into that as well, and all the things. But as we were kind of looking at launching StarStake, originally we were thinking, okay, end of November we can do this, after the Mission NFTs, because the Mission NFTs are like the ticket in many ways, and they serve so many purposes. But we're like, okay, well, we'll launch version one right on the backside of that. And you had the holiday there, the end of November, and we had some things that we had to finish and go through as a company. And then December hit, and we're like, okay, let's do it in December. We can manage this. And so, the tech was getting finished up, and we were running actuaries on it. And thing for me was running a really deep risk analysis on everything, and just making sure it was stable and all things were working. And it just takes a great deal of time, and I'll explain kind of why. And Cap and some of you guys watching this on the team, it, because it's not as simple as like, hey, let me go in here and test the software as a user and see if it works. We have a lot of different user types. You guys, part of StarStake is you're creating this creation platform for creators and brands to be able to create an entire Web3 economy. And I'll explain what that really means. And then you have users, right, who participate with that. But then you have the support user types, which mean like the managers and agents. So who's going to help those creators do these things? The manager agent profiles, because we didn't want to just launch a software in the Web3 world on blockchain and not allow there to be support. And so how do you financially connect those pieces together, and how do you as far as access, connect them together? So because it is Web3, it uses wallets and such, it's kind of complex. So there's, every time you test something, let me give you an idea. If I want to test the NFT bucks, for example, I'd have to go in as a creator, and I'd log into that account. So you'd have a separate wallet for that creator, and you go in there and do something. Maybe you mint a buck, and then you mint it and you check everything out, make sure all the things are checked off our list. Yes, all systems go there. Great. Okay, now as a user, I create a different wallet, log in as a user. I go and look at that buck. Am I interacting properly? Is it doing what it's supposed to do as a user? Then I add it to cart and I buy it. Right. And so then I buy it, and I look in my Stake Hub. Is it there? And we check it out. And can I do things with it? And we have to test all those systems. Okay, great. Now let me check the manager. Did the manager get their credit? Did the agent get their piece of the pie of that sale? And so you look at that, and can they see their stats and data? Right. So you have to create wallets for each of those user types. And then does that user spend that buck, and how does that affect those other people? And so there's just a lot of branches, if you will, that have to be looked at. And look, if one little thing kind of breaks, it does branch off to those other users, because typically it will break those communications, those pieces. So it just takes a long time to really do this. So that was kind of a little bit unexpected, a little bit not. But look, we embrace it because we're not going to launch a product to the market. I always say, to everybody, like, we're not going to launch an iPhone that can't make phone calls or drops calls every other call. It's just, it doesn't do anybody any good. So anyways, here we are in December, and we're ready to launch things. And we're super stoked. I mean, we were working on all the marketing materials, the funnels, and messaging and videos and all this stuff, super ready to pretty much go out there and launch V1. And because we're doing a rollout, right? So you have V1, which is certain systems, and then shortly after that, a few weeks, we'll have the next system, just so we don't have any scale problems. And anyway, so there we are. It's December, and we started looking at things, and we really needed to kind of step back. And we're like, okay, well, these things are working, and certain things were just being wrapped up. And we're like, okay, we have to account for this. Well, sometimes you have to step back and ask yourself, okay, why are we doing these things? Are these things just for fun, or do they really solve problems? So let me pull up my notes here. So, some key things that we have that we put into place were what I call the three pillars of StarStake, our design philosophy. Okay. And these are always three things that we have to keep in mind when we're building this thing. Because if we get away from that, it gets too complicated, and we end up doing things we shouldn't. Right. So, these three key pillars, and I'll do a different presentation, a formal one, but I want you guys to know about this. So, the first thing when we're building this is the feature or whatever we're building, does it deliver a usable experience? Right? Is it a usable experience in the Web3 world, right? For Web2 people, okay? For a Web2 world that we live in now, social media and all this content and everything, is it a usable experience? Meaning, is it so just ridiculously complicated, or is it so different that it just doesn't make it usable, like it's a hassle, right? Is every feature usable? Okay. The second thing that has to be there is it accessible to everyone, regardless of technical experience or anything. There can't be any crypto reliance. There can't be, annoying gas fees. There can't be disconnects that where you're just like, oh, this isn't worth it. Is it accessible for everyone? And the third thing is the feature or whatever it is that we're building, are those features meaningful, and are they faster, easier, and better than what people are currently using? Okay, I'll say that again. Is it these meaningful features? Are they meaningful? Are they faster, easier, and better than what people are currently using? And so those are the three things we always have to ask ourselves. And so when we built StarStake, we have, Creator Hub for creators to mint things, and we have Stake Hub for users to manage their portfolios and performance. And then you have these different NFT types, right? We had these three NFT types: NFT bucks. You have StarStake NFTs that allow rewards and things to and access, and then you have access NFTs that are kind of the distribution mechanism to deliver products and services and all kinds of stuff. So you had these three things, but then we had to step back and say, how do they work together? How are these three talking to each other, right? And so if I'm a user and I buy a buck, how does that buck, what do I do with that, and how does that affect the SNFT? And then if I have that StarStake NFT, how am I getting rewards? And so we had to ask ourselves some really important questions. And at our core, right, really what we're trying to do, in my opinion, is we're trying to create a middle class for creators. Okay. You're always going to have the 1% that excel, that you look at the YouTubers that less than 1% that are making all that money, right? And you have all these people who create content that are struggling. Their opportunities are limited. And so we really want to try to cultivate this middle class where a person on StarStake can come here and create a livable income, can create something that helps them do more of what they want to do, not go out there and create content because the algorithm requires them to. Right. So if you notice that a lot of the creators out there, just in the social media world, they're doing and asking of us fans to do things because that's how they get paid. Right. So anytime you see somebody that says, hey, like and subscribe, they're actually asking you, help me make money. Okay. That's really what they're doing. But as a fan, they're asking you to do something without getting anything in return, really. Right. They just have to feed themselves. So they'll do anything they have to. And unfortunately, those platforms, right, are kind of determining the kind of content you see. Because look, if content that's short and flashy and whatever's trending, right, if that's hot, they're going to design their algorithm to get more of that, so more people spend time on their platform, even though the creator may not want to do that. I know my wife, she does TikToks and stuff for her music. She's a musician. She doesn't want to have to do some of these, dance things and just funny videos. That's not her thing, but that's what people want, or that's what the algorithm wants. And for her content to even be seen, she has to do it, right? So there's this disconnect. So we want to create that middle class where you can create all the things that you want to do and make a livable income to do more of the things you want to do. Okay. We want to bridge the Web2 engagement with tiered Web3 loyalty. That's a really important thing to us. And really, what Web3 does is it just unlocks the possibility for creators to offer more. Okay. NFTs, we don't even talk about StarState. You guys, internally, we've been going about this in a way where we don't even consider StarStake as an NFT platform. We don't talk about NFTs, and the reason, and I mean internally, and you'll notice on our new messaging coming, because NFTs are just the tool, it's the mechanism, it's the building blocks for creators to build things. That's all it is, you guys. It's not about, hey, and I know this is the world we live in. Like people see NFTs as like buy this and maybe it'll go up in value or something. Like it's very much art, right? To us, NFTs are a building, it's a Lego block. It's a block that a person can use in so many ways and create different things for it. It just unlocks the possibilities of offering more. And so we really had to look back and say, do our NFTs really do that? And we started looking at the press releases that have gone out recently, and we have a new one coming out in Forbes magazine. We have another one, Entrepreneur magazine. You might have seen some of the other ones recently. Is we wanted to get the message. We're not just NFTs that added some utility. Like you'll notice a lot of platforms right now are doing that. They're trying to say, how can we be the next big thing? And they're just like taking NFTs and trying to plow some utility into it. And what does that mean, utility? Like they're trying to make it do stuff, right? They're trying to make it valuable in a way that you can do it. But look, if you're going to use if you're going to use NFTs that do things that you're already doing in Web 2, right? So if you're going to use NFTs to deliver content, well, you don't need an NFT to do that. You might as well use whatever else you're doing out there because it is easier. It's faster. You don't need a wallet. You don't need any of that. It's not necessary. So people are trying to force Web 2 into this NFT world to give it utility because you can, which is certainly true, but really what's the value to the creator and to us to make it worthwhile, again, to make it more usable, to make it accessible to everybody, and to make it meaningful faster and better than what they're already doing. Otherwise nothing matters, right? StarStake will just it'll just come out there and people will be like, why do I need this? What am I supposed to do with that thing? That looks nice, but what am I going to do with it? Right. And we've studied and studied and studied different NFT platforms over the last 4 months or so, and from stars, and we started NFT drops and projects, and even the AAA stars couldn't sell up their stuff, and they couldn't get their users, to the effect of some of them even said we couldn't even give them away. I've heard this twice, maybe more, but twice for sure. They couldn't even give their NFTs to people because it was too hard. It wasn't usable. It wasn't accessible. They didn't have wallets. They were on their phone. It didn't work on the phone. So that's just where we had to like step back and look at, okay, we have the amazing product as we were talking about these different NFTs and Creator Hub and Access, all that's there ready to go. But is it usable? Is it going to be something that people are going to go from YouTube to here, to go to any other platform and come here and want to be here and say, wow, that was amazing. Wow, I got something I've never got before. Or wow, I can get that. I can do that. I feel this way, right? They feel appreciated, they feel valuable, things feel meaningful. These are all really important things that, and trust me, they're so ridiculously hard so to do, and that's probably why nobody's doing it. But anyway, so those were the pillars of really what our design philosophy is here. And again, I'll make a presentation for you guys soon. Web3 is enabling the financialization of everything with the theme of ownership and access at its core. Okay, so that's kind of like our thing. So I wanted to read you a couple other things before I get into these updates that you're going to love. It's pretty exciting. Um, the one thing is business models define incentives, and incentives drive the content that users create. Offering more direct monetization models, basically where users pay creators, that can encourage creators to align their content with what end users value versus creating content that maximizes watch time or virality or whatever. So it really just aligns more. If we can create this really great incentive model that benefits both parties, then they can focus their content not on trying to become a viral, anything, or try to get views or watch times just so they can get their stuff seen. Okay, as I kind of explained. Um, Here's a quote I heard from someone. I don't have the source. I apologize. But seeing more value captured by users, both individually and collectively, is one of the most exciting aspects of Web3. It removes intermediaries from traditional Web2 aggregators and gatekeepers, which is the key for the democratization of income creation in the digital world. Really interesting quote. It makes a lot of sense. It relates to us a lot. So, one thing about us, the community aspect is a central component of StarStake, okay? And relationships, and basically, as Dan Kennedy says, creating customers for life. Think about that. If you're a brand, or if you're a business, if you're a creator of any type, you want to create a customer or a fan for life. right? In order to do that, you have to be able to build relationships. You have to be able to build not followers, not likes, relationships, like meaningful ones. And there's certain things that have to be in place for us to do this. And this is where I'm getting to. All right. So, um, let me just go into all right, so we had to ask ourselves some really important questions as a company, and this is what we've been doing, as of early December. So how will users go from web 2 to web 3 without knowing or feeling like they're going into this new realm? Okay. We don't want it to feel Japanese. We want it to feel like it's just where they belong. It's familiar. Okay. How will customers or users be acquired? So how are people going to get on platform for the very first time? How are they going to get introduced? What's our exposure and what's our risk? Are we solving the right problems? Problems to our target market, which we're launching, is to independent creators. And that could be authors, experts, it could be artists, it could be musicians, it could be brands, but mostly on the independent side. Okay. And then with that, we know, and we've already started attracting brands to this in big organizations. Okay. And they have a certain specific set of problems. Like first of all, creator, there's no community ownership or control right now. They don't own their communities. And this is a big piece that we just upgraded here, and I'll share it with you. It's kind of alluded to it earlier, but is creators don't own their communities. If YouTube cancels you and shuts you down, you no longer have access to that community. You don't own it. It's a problem for anybody who is out there. Okay. Both fan and creator feel underappreciated. There's a lack of opportunities. Obviously, you see, creators out there doing so many things. You see, this is why the course and e-learning industry blew up like it did recently, is because it was the next easiest thing, basically one of the only things that, influencers could sell, unless they want to create merchandise or products or do live events. It's like, hey, I can create information and sell information. So e-learning just exploded, right? But that takes a lot of work. But there's limited opportunities on the platforms themselves that are real true opportunities. um, they're disconnected from their audience and community. Both parties aren't really happy about it, but they get by. If you look at like YouTube and Instagram, they have like these membership programs where, as a creator, you can charge money or people pay money to get additional content, which is crazy when you think about it, because it's already, if you know that world, it's so hard to keep up with it. And now you're like, I got to figure out what kind of content I have to give people for the money they're paying. And you're always kind of fighting that internal battle of like, is this good enough? Is this valuable? Is it worth paying this money? Right. So there's that. And it's just really deprioritized. These creators are just, they're doing things not for the best reasons for their fans. Okay. Um, and so looking at that, that's the web 2 world. That's the world we live in kind of today. And that's subscriber followers. That's all those places, traditional businesses, your Shopify's and all of that. So we said, okay, what are the layers of StarStake? And the layers, I basically created these three different categories of layers. And when you come to StarStake, it's these layers that make up this thing. And this is what we do really well. And this is what we're going to change the game with. Okay. The first is connection and ownership. You come to StarStake, the first thing we're going to solve or help you do is create connections and ownership. It's what I call the connection ownership layer. Okay. A real decentralized connection to your community that you officially own. As we had it early December, we didn't have a mechanism for that unless somebody bought an NFT. Okay. So then you're connected, but it's not for the right reasons. And we also had to look at what kind of positions are we putting creators in? Are we putting them in a position where they have to go out to their email list, to their audience, their customers, and sell? They don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. Nobody likes doing that. So if NFTs on StarStake were only for selling, you're giving them something they don't want to do. And even harder than that, they don't know anything about this. They're not going to know how to explain it. So we don't want to put people, and on top of that, there is no safeguard for human nature. So if things are hard, what do? Well, we fall back on what's the easiest thing. If one of the easiest things to do is sell something a certain way and make a promise or a guarantee just to help people get in the door, people will do it. And we can't put them in a position where they have to do that or feel like they have to, because that puts us at risk, everybody at risk. So the first layer is, how do we create ownership? How do you get all your followers and all your audience everywhere else in Web 2, your customer bases? How do you get them onto StarStake in the easiest, fastest, funnest, like the most fun, exciting, whatever? Like just do it seamlessly where it doesn't feel like you did anything. It's just better. Okay. So that's what that ownership layer. And we're like, wow, we don't have that. right? Like, okay, you can come buy my bucks or you can buy my SNFT. Get my, we had all these cool mechanisms and stuff, but when it came down to it, how do you get that first exposure? And in the marketing world, how many of you guys know what a sales funnel is? I'm not going to assume because I've been doing that too much lately. How many know what a sales funnel is? You heard of it? I think most of you, you're business owners and stuff, entrepreneurs, you should know. But put in the chat, let me know. Do you know what a sales funnel? Lynn, of course I know you know what a sales funnel. You're Miss Sales Funnel. Okay, I think a lot. Yeah, I think you're jiving. You're tracking me here. So in a sales funnel world, right? Like you wouldn't just send somebody from an advertisement to a hard sell. Typically not, right? So you give something for free, or you create what you call an email opt-in, and so that person would come to a page and be like, "Hey, get my newsletter, or get my free download, or get join my community for free." And they put in a name and an email, whatever. It allows you to build that list. Again, what does that do? Helps you own your community. That email list. People tell me all the time. I hear it all the time. Even friends of mine like, "Oh, email's dead, Chris." Okay, tell that to a company that has an email list, and they'll tell you the value of it. It's not true. Yes, deliverability, inbox rates are low, whatever, but you still own that community. It's your email list. You can control it. You can advertise, share. You can do a lot of things with that. So in the marketing world, there's an easy way to kind of onboard people into your brand, create something for free, give them some kind of incentive to come to you. They give you your email. Now you can start to deliver great value, introduce them to your products, your brand, etc. Typical stuff, right? Kind of just been around forever. Um, but in Web3, notice there's not anything like that. Look around, go to any NFT platform. Is there anything like it? No. Nobody's thinking like, hey, what's worked for the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, right? What's worked? Shouldn't we do that here, or should we just say, hey, we're going to create a platform, you got to buy stuff, and nobody cares how you do it? Because really the model is like, hey, get on my whitelist and I'm going to drop it, and then whoosh, it's like the momentum dies. There is no continuity, there's no growth rate. It's like shh, or it's just like you don't do anything, it flatlines. Okay, so we wanted this to be a platform that can nurture people and build relationships, and you build relationships by what? Communicating. How do you do that in Web3? And so we really looked at that connection. And that's where we said, hey, let's create an NFT that isn't an NFT. I know it doesn't make sense, kind of silly, but that's where Star Connect came in. So we created this mechanism, this product inside of StarStake that every creator gets to be able to create their own collectible baseball card thing, kind of. Okay. It's like an opt in, but it's an NFT. So you create your own personalized NFT. It's your trading card, right? And you get you can customize the look of it and all this cool stuff. It's pretty amazing. And then you get a landing page, so you can customize your landing page, and you can customize your bridge page, which after somebody gets your free NFT. So how it works, if I'm on YouTube, I say, hey guys, come over to StarStake. I have my free Star Connect NFT where I'm going to drop content to you every week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you this value. Da 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 da. Okay. And they come over to StarStake. They come to your landing page. They can't go anywhere else or do anything. They just click a button. And if they don't have a wallet, they use our new Magic Wallet solution, which is super easy. It's better than Fortmatic. They use Magic Wallet just by putting their email address in. Boom, they have a wallet, and they hit a button and it drops that free NFT to their wallet. They don't have any idea what just happened. They just got something, right? It's pretty cool. And that landing page you can customize to offer value any way you want. And that's like your rookie card. That's your entry into Web3, but they didn't have to buy it. You didn't have to sell it. You didn't have to explain it. You just said, hey, I want to connect you together. I want to officially on the blockchain make us official. Like we're dating now, right? Like we are going out. This is real. This is for real. Just like when people go on like, hey, I'm engaged to so and so on Facebook. I'm dating so and so, right? And that's essentially kind of the same thing here. So now, like if I'm a fan of Gary Vee could be like, hey, I just launched my Star Connect NFT on StarStake. Grab it. It's my rookie. It's the first edition I'll ever have. If you have this, it basically date and timestamps the day that you became his fan or anybody's fan, right? Super important because where the data comes in. So it's really cool. You can just now go to this page, you get this free thing. You can also create token gated content. All that means is only people that have that NFT in their wallet will be able to access some cool content. And you can customize that section all you want. So you could put in video and links to stuff. And then also this builds a list. It's the same as like an email list, but now you have a list of wallet holders that have your Star Connect. And with our new drop system, guess what you can do? You can now drop NFTs and announcements and value and perks and all this cool stuff to just those Star Connect members, right? So if you have a million subscribers, that's cool. You may have a million subscribers, but what is it like to have a million Star Connect fans? Right. This is really interesting because if StarStake goes away tomorrow, if it disappears, you don't lose that community. As long as those people still have that NFT in their wallet, you can still communicate with them. They can still communicate with you. Right. So as more platforms, because I was thinking, I was like, okay, what's going to happen in the future with NFTs? Well, platforms are going to start accepting NFTs as a form of like a gateway. We call it token gating, right? So Shopify has this function. If you have a certain NFT in your wallet, you can access a part of that store, or you can get a discount in that store, right? They're already doing that. So knowing that, we're like, let's just get everybody on StarStake and get them their community NFT, because when this thing really rolls outside of StarStake, they can just say, hey, all you community members here, you can't do this on YouTube, by the way. Everybody that has my Star Connect, I'm opening up my Shopify discount to you. Make sure you get this, right? It's automatically integrated into all those platforms. But who's going to get everybody's community to get that NFT if you're just trying to sell everybody everything? You can't do that. So that's why these Star Connects happen. So Star Connect NFT, and you can create multiple editions. So you have your first edition, and let's say, you're going to only run that for like the first month. And you're like, hey, after this, I'll mint another one, but this is the OG one. So you can get multiple, but you can only sell or give one away at a time. So it's like a series or an edition, I guess we call it. So just a really cool way. And you'll be able to see as a creator how many people have how many of your editions. So if your OG fans have all of your connects like trading cards, right? You can give them rewards. You can do things, and you can tell who your OG fans are. Like you could say, hey, for those of you here that supported me from day one, because now we have that data, I'm going to give you this or that. Does that make sense? You guys tracking with me? What do you think of that? How's that sound? This, you guys, this stuff was like such a big aha moment. I was like, this is how we get millions and millions and millions of people on StarStake. It really is big. And so on top of that, it serves as a funnel. It's also a great way for you to create the Star Connect NFT that's personalized, has your face on it, it's your brand, whatever. You don't have to sell it. You get a landing page. You don't have to build anything. You get a special section to deliver content. And then you get a bridge page. And basically, that's the page that comes after they get your Star Connect. You can say, hey, thanks for grabbing my Star Connect. You're officially my fan. I can't wait for you to become my super fan and earn star creds. And I'll explain that in a second. And then that page can say, hey, by the way, I just launched my new album, SNFT. Go ahead and grab that here. Click the link down below and go. So then you can start to kind of introduce the sale. You can introduce someone to say, hey, I got this really cool thing on top of that. Right. So now it's not like you're just trying to sell from YouTube or wherever you're at to your fans. You can get them here and they can be like, wow, I just got most people, you guys, this is going to be their first NFT they ever get in their life. So we need to make this experience sweet. We need to make this so beautiful and so great that people are like, oh, I read about NFTs and it sounds scary to me. This wasn't bad. This wasn't anything. This feels like just better than what I was using. Right. Um, so basically the way this works is you have this and then people can start getting introduced. Okay, so it's really the front end, it's the very first, it's the ownership piece I just mentioned. It now allows you to own your community as a creator. And as a fan, how cool is that? I can just go around and collect all these different Star Connect NFTs, and some of them will have perks and cool content. And it's a collectible thing that costs zero money. And you guys, there's no gas fees. There's like you don't have to pay the gas to get these. It's really game changing in that regard. Okay, so that was the first layer that we needed to make sure we nailed, and that solves a lot of problems. The second one is the value layer, and this came up in a couple ways, and that's knowing the true value of every fan or customer, and the fans knowing their value to that creator or brand. Okay. Just because you get somebody to subscribe to your YouTube channel or buy your song or listen to your music, you don't know their real value. You don't know how much they're listening to that song. You don't know how much they're spending maybe with your product specifically. I guarantee you, Nike doesn't necessarily know. Um, Chris Hawk doesn't know how many shoes and clothes and things I bought or how many times I've been to their site. They don't have a profile on me. Okay. It's very hard to do because you can do this stuff all over the place, right? And you can do this stuff on Amazon. You don't have to do it on Nike. And so, what is the value, and how me as a brand? How can I? reward my fans. And the way we built StarStake originally, and there's nothing wrong with it, it's just based the way we measured this is the more you spent, say, for example, for an SNFT, it would allow you to get prioritized in the reward structure, which is not a bad, but that's one piece of the pie, right? So, look, if I have somebody that buys all my products and spends the most amount of money, yeah, they're a big supporter. I do want to reward them more, and so that's we looked at that, and that was a piece. But also on the other side, think about the fan. Where do I stand as a fan, and how does that determine my actions? We didn't have this data in StarStake, and we were like, man, we need to have this to drive the actions we want, because at the end of the day, it's the connections and relationships. So now as a creator, we create something called fan score. It's really unbelievable, super complicated to build, but we got it. So we built fan scores. So every fan, the second you get that Star Connect, and the second you get on StarStake, and when you start getting NFTs and making purchases and staking and doing all the cool things that you do, sending referrals to these creators and brands, that's calculated into your fan score. And so that fan score, and there's basically, I believe there's four different fan attributes, as we call them. I have it written down the board. There's your service score, customer score, ownership score, and loyalty score. Each one of those holds different points. And so, for example, your service score would be the things you help do for that fan or that star or brand. So do you send traffic to their NFT page? Do you share on social media? Like the things you do to be of service to them, you get a chunk of rewards based on your points there. And you can see how you stack up, and the creators can see how you stack up and who their super fan is in the service realm. The next one is your customer score, and that's based on money. How much, who's my biggest spenders, right? Like who's spending the most? It just tracks that. The next one is your ownership score, and that just shows you like who owns all of my products or who owns just one. So it'll give you a higher score if you own maybe all of their Buck collection, multiple SNFTs, Access NFTs, Star Connects. Everything has a point structure and an algorithm built into that. It doesn't matter if you owned a bunch of NFTs, you'd have a higher score than someone that had one NFT and spent $1 million, perhaps, right? As far as that score, the ownership score. And then the fourth one is loyalty. And loyalty was a score that we made that was kind of an aggregate of those others. And that was a way for you to really check out like who has this top service, ownership, loyalty, and all those service scores, and to what that means to a loyalty number and that score. So those four scores are used, and that's what determines your rewards. So this was really important because SNFTs, as you know it, you can stake an NFT and buy it. You have different offers, as you know, and you could spend $1,000. But now the rewards inside of that are determined by your fan score. So yes, if you're the big spender, then you'll get a big piece of that quarter of those rewards. But if you're a big service person or fan, you send lots of support to them, you'll get a bigger piece of that. And so it really drives action, and it really drives the proper behavior on StarStake. Secondly, this makes us as a company bulletproof. It addressed a major issue that a lot of people have, and helps us in the future with securities and regulations and things like that. And look, it's so open ended because of NFTs right now. Um, if you look at like the NFTs aren't a security, but they can be presented as one. And for those who don't know what securities are, I won't get into it, but like a stock is a security. Actually, a lot of things in life, a lot of memberships you have are securities, but there's specific things that they just regulate to protect consumers. And the kind of the Howey test, you've heard of this, kind of is the way that you look at like, how is this a security? And all it means is like, if you're going to sell securities, you got to be registered with the SEC, and there's a lot of like red tape, and you don't want to go there, right? So you can't, and I think that like the best way to explain this in the Howey test is you you can't have somebody make an investment of money in a common enterprise with the expectation of making a profit from the efforts of others, right? So those things have to be there. And so even though on the back end, you guys, like, we knew about this a long time ago, we addressed it, and we had certain lawyers look at our model, and um, we built the code on the back end to make sure that it wasn't a security. So if somebody looked at it, like, it wasn't somebody spending money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profit. However, the intent could be that way, right? So if you think about, we're like, okay, how are creators going to sell their SNFTs? Okay, they're going to go out there and you say, buy my SNFT, and I'm going to share 10% of my fan royalties and 5% of my Spotify revenue with you. There's nothing wrong with it. Like that's a good thing, right? But it is also setting the wrong expectation. Basically, it's saying, hey, buy my SNFT. You can sit on your butt and watch me do all the work, and maybe you're going to get rich or something, right? So it could set the wrong, it could put them in the wrong situation. And we as a company have to say we don't want to put creators in that situation, because that's honestly that's what I would say, because it's easy, right? Is say, hey, get this thing to get this thing. And that's just business in general. But when it comes to security law, and like if they feel, if it looks like an investment, smells like an investment, it might, regardless whether it's an NFT, regardless if it's coded a specific way, it's the economic impact that it really has. All right. So I know I'm getting deep here with y'all, but it's important. So we looked at this and we said, okay, we don't ever want to put creators in that position. We don't want to be at risk in the future. Look, I don't want to do all this work and the fortune that we've been spending on building this thing, and the time and the sacrifice for this, and then to have the government come in and say, hey, you're not compliant. You got to change your whole model or something, because that's what happens, right? It's like, hey, you got to change this. You got to shut this down, or you're doing it wrong. And so we didn't ever want to open ourselves up to that, even though we knew we were doing the right thing to create the right product to help people. You have to attack it. And look, you guys, if you look around at NFT platforms right now, people know about securities and they avoid it because they don't know how to do it. They want to do it, right? Like Gary Vee talks about it all the time. He'll talk about like, hey, musicians can want to sell their NFTs and give their fans a portion of their success. Like that's a good thing, but if it can be abused, it could be perceived improperly. And we as a company, because it's not us selling these, we're just creating the tool and we get a fee for that. Creators are going to be saying that, and it just takes the wrong person, right? We don't want the wrong person to go out there and say, hey, buy this thing and invest all this money or something, right? And then somebody gets ripped off. So we want to be prepared. Yes, getting ahead of the curve is important, and even if it delays us a bit, it's important. So we went out there, brought in the one of the number one legal firms. Look, I was just like, I need to do a complete risk analysis from the best of the best, just to get second, third, fourth opinion, and let's look at how we can attack it. And that was my, people say, Chris, well, why didn't you just do that in the beginning? Here's why I didn't do this in the beginning. I didn't want to build a product around some government regulation, or what we can't do, or what's going to be hard. I wanted to build a product and say, hey, how can we fix the problems and how can we make things better? And then figure out how it fits into that and how you make it work in the regulatory, spaces. And so that was our approach. But even though we knew about it, we knew how the SEC works, and so we built the code the way we did on the back end. But nobody can see that really; it's hard to tell. And so we said, hey, let's just revisit this. So we hired Nelson Mullins, one of the top legal firms in the world that represents some of the largest projects, companies, especially in the blockchain space, and they're very good with IP as well. And they did a full risk analysis on us. And this is not public information. We don't have to share this. We're not a public company anyway, but this is for us to know like where our weaknesses are, maybe where languaging is bad. Look, we're not perfect. We're going to say things the wrong way in the beginning. And so we just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing the right way moving forward when we do launch, right? And make the adjustments and pivot. So they came in, looked at it and said, yes, you're doing it right, but this, but do this, but you should probably change this, or just to be safe. And of course, guys, I have nothing against lawyers. They're great business people, but man, if that's all you do is listen to them, you'll never launch. You'll never get off the ground. It's very difficult. So we had to look at it and say, okay, let's attack this now. We're not going to avoid it. We want to give rewards. We want there to be financial connections. There has to be. We have to fix this thing and fix the rocket, I mean, the industry. And so we just attacked it and we found a better way. And in fact, it changed the complete dynamics of StarStake in general. And that's how fan scores came about. Is now SNFTs are free, you guys. There's never ever going to be an NFT that you have to buy with the expectation of money from a common enterprise of any sort, from the efforts of anything, because you only earn those rewards as a fan if your score is there, right? You can't just buy an NFT or even get a free NFT and sit on your butt and earn rewards. It's not possible. Okay. StarStake NFTs, which we had as just for sale only, now those are free. You don't have to pay for them. And this isn't official. This is like when you see the official documentation, everything on the site, then you can say it's official. So for those of you going to try to poke holes in my words, go ahead. It's been a long day. But what I'm saying here is SNFTs will be free. Anybody can get them. They'll have rewards attached to them, but it's up to you as a fan to participate. So if you're a server, if you're sending lots of traffic to somebody that boosts your service score, you get more rewards or you get better perks or benefits, right? If you own more of their products, if I own every Nike club, if I, own a shirt, a bunch of shirts or something, whatever it is, then my score goes up and they reward me because I'm a more loyal fan, as it should be, right? We can't just give away percentage of royalties or things for no reason. It doesn't make any business sense. This does, because now they can motivate their fans and reward them. And now basically what we're doing, we're creating super fans, like really, like truly. It's something that's been on my mind a long time, is like, how do we as creators see who our real big super fans are? Not the ones that are commenting the most just because they want to be seen, but like, I want to see you spent money, you've done things, you own things, there's certain metrics here, and that becomes data that no other platform has. And this is data. Now think about it. What would you rather do if you were a brand, if you're Nike and you saw a couple people, you saw one person on YouTube with 1 million followers, you saw another person on StarStake that had 200,000 stakers or super fans with a really high fan score, meaning they purchased many things, they've helped support, they've showed engagement, they're loyal. All that data is there. You're going to spend money. It's a better spend for Nike to spend with 200 super fans than it is with 1 million followers that could just be bought, right? Think about that. That is a value. And you know what that does? That creates opportunity. That creates real opportunity for these creators, the thing that they're lacking, that doesn't determine what they do, right? They don't have to change how they do things or make music they don't want to make just because those platforms tell them that's how they have to do it to be seen in their algorithms. They just make the best product, the best offer possible. Their fans that love them and love that stuff are going to do what they're going to do anyway. And guess what? Now they will be rewarded appropriately. That's the power of what this is looking to do. So this mechanism was such a big piece. This layer, as I call it, was an integral piece. So we've built out the fan score system, those fan attributes. The dashboards have changed, so now you'll be able to see your score as a fan. You don't have to purchase anything to get rewarded. You just have to support your and do what you're already doing, which is super cool. So yeah, that was the value layer. Now I, as a fan, can see my value and how I stack up next to other people. Again, that helps me come back and participate and gives me a reason to be on StarStake. And also from the creator side, I can see where the value is. Makes sense, right? You guys jiving? Does that make sense? And I'll tell you about the third one. You with me? I can get some water. All right. Did I lose you? You guys fall asleep on me? All right. All right. So, lastly, the last layer we wanted to look at was the accessibility layer. And this is just something we've already done. And this was, we had to build the connection, the ownership, Star Connect. We needed the value, which is the way that, you value and you distribute rewards. It's not based on purchase or investment of money, nothing like that. It also, you guys, the last point, that it creates a lot of confidence. The one thing, like, it doesn't matter, like, we could do all the coding and all the things on the back end to make this thing completely compliant, and as we have done, but to a brand or a creator coming here, they just want to know that we're doing the things the right way. Part of the reason why we hired Nelson Mullins is we want people to know, like, hey, we've invested in this to make sure we're doing it right. Because look, they're taking a risk to be on platform too. So they're taking a leap of faith in us. So we wanted to create all this information to reassure them that, look, in the future, there's not going to be something that comes out that StarStake's doing this or that. And look, people are, like I said, they're going to poke holes in every way that they want, especially before we launch. I've had even some people I've heard, I don't even like talking about it, it's a waste of my breath, but saying, "Oh, StarStake doesn't have any creators on there. They're not going anywhere. It's just Chris's wife on there." Yeah, my wife's beautiful, and I like to showcase her as a demonstration, like, of what this thing's going to look like. But we haven't even launched yet. So to say that there's no creators on here, it's because we haven't opened the doors yet. We've been talking to hundreds of them, but look, I'm not going to put somebody in there and be like, "Hey, you got to wait around a little bit." So it's just funny how people will always bend what they want to bend. And again, you know what? I'll just say this. I don't hate these guys, the guys that are out there that are probably going to take this video and poke me and just say, "Oh, he said this," or they completely put it out of context. Is fine. I actually appreciate them in a way because I know why they're doing it. And if you look at the behavior that these platforms have created, is how do they get paid? They get paid by getting more views. The bigger audience you have, the more you can be monetized, right? How do you get those views? Well, you create disruptive material. Like, I'm not going to hate on that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're lying, I have a problem with that. Or if you're bending context or saying things like, hey, Chris's wife is this or that, or you're saying things like, oh, StarStake doesn't have any create. Well, they're not even launched. So why not understand what we're doing and then create real media? But look, media is flawed in its own way. So regardless, I don't hate them, but I do appreciate their point of view because I know where they're coming from. Like, they have to feed their families if that's what they're doing, and they have to be seen. I don't believe there's some righteous reason they're doing it. Some people, if you look at the people that really care about the vision of things, they've written amazing stuff about us, and we do appreciate them. There's some that don't, and we just kind of like laugh it off because, look, there's nothing we can do. We will be judged by the quality of our product when it is released. So all this other stuff is just kind of like nonsense and distraction, which is it's in every company deal. Look at I always tell people that bring this up. I say, look at what happened with SpaceX when SpaceX first came out. If you guys probably know this, is they could not hire engineers to build these rockets. They couldn't hire engineers for these engines because it was one of the number one, if not the number one, shorted stock of all time. People did not believe in what Elon was doing with SpaceX. Too hard, too expensive. It's just not possible, right? Everybody shorted to where nobody wanted to work for the company because they just saw it as a failure, too big of a risk, right? For them to leave their jobs and come over. And so Elon had to learn the things he had to, hence why they blew up $100 million rockets and when they first started, right? Almost went bankrupt because they just couldn't get the quality of talent to help do otherwise. It's the same thing. Yes, they just make it a little bit harder because they put stuff out there and they don't understand the maybe the collateral damage that it causes. But we will be judged by the quality of our product, and I believe in our team and what we're doing for the right reasons. I know it's hard, guys, to be waiting and having delays, and I apologize for not being better at our estimates. That's on me. That's on us and our team. Have better things. But look, anytime you create a new product for the first time that's innovating, you're learning, and we're learning, and we're learning every day. We're learning something new and building, and we're rushing because we're trying to get it out the door, get it out the door. But these things just happen, and so we have to accept that. Okay. Anyways, so that's really what I wanted to share with you is the Star Connect that's being added currently right now. It's not far away from being done. The fan score is being done right now. The calculations are we got it really cool. We've run actuaries on it. Works. Everything checks out. So we're just building the UI to display that, even just for a version one. And then lastly is the way that you get StarStake NFTs. You don't have to purchase them, but it's cool because now you can just get it for free. You can get the rewards as long as you're participating on StarStake and doing things. But there's also incentives. So if there's different offers on the right hand side, so maybe there's an SNFT offers. You got to look at like a membership. So you could get like a gold, silver, whatever. So instead of the free one, maybe you get a different one. And what you're paying for is not the SNFT, you're paying for the access, right? So if I'm Justin Bieber or something, I could say, hey, get my StarStake NFT and here's my reward program and whatever. And he can give whatever he wants with the free one, but it connects them to his music or whatever it is. He can say, hey, I have a gold, VIP membership club. It's $1,000 and I'm giving 3 backstage passes, access to me, music, da 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 da. You're paying for the access, things you care about as a fan, but it also gives you a multiple. It's a multiplier. So any rewards, say your fan score is, you know, 2 million and you have the free SNFT, if you're at a higher package, you'll have a multiple. So it just gives you like a different priority. It has nothing to do how much money you spent. It just you're part of my VIP members club. Okay, so it gives you a multiple. So when you do get those points, they're worth more. That's all that does. It doesn't bypass that. So it's just a really cool way. You can have VIP. You can have all these different kind of clubs within your SNFT, and so it just that dynamic is different. So we've gone through and changed a few things. We've cleaned it up, made it more simple, all this stuff. So that's where we're at on the updates. I know it's a lot to intake, but here's what we're looking at. We are really shooting to launch version one in the middle of February next month. We're pushing the team hard. You guys, we're working as hard as possible. I think it'll be sometime in February. I'm confident that we'll hit February, but I don't know. I can't give you a date. Like I can't say Valentine's Day it's going to launch, but we're looking at February. Again, the core is done. Everything that we've been working on is done. It's been tested, just making some final tweaks. Now, all we're doing is making the addition of saying, hey, you can only get rewards and do certain things when you have a fan score. The Star Connect, that's easy. That's in the process. That'll be done here in a week. And then the SNFT additions, just changing that a little bit on the contract on the blockchain. And then you guys were ready to roll, baby. I mean, this thing is so close. And now we're going to have something that nobody has. It's not just about buying NFTs for buying NFTs for, there's never going to be the false expectation of like, hey, I'm going to buy the star and get rich tomorrow. It's about, I want to be their super fan because they know I'm their super fan. Like, think about that. Like, to know, like, that artist, that brand knows who you are. You are the super fan, verifiable on the blockchain, by the way. StarStake goes away tomorrow. It's still there. Okay. And they own the community. Now guys are connected for life. And it's fun and exciting. I think you guys are going to love it. So, I don't want to just spew out all this information, but I just wanted to kind of talk from the heart. And, every day I think of this, I do all this stuff for you guys because I want you to love it. I really do. I mean that dearly. Wouldn't spend the kind of money we've spent on this and time and frustration and arguments back and forth about should we or shouldn't we. I do it for you guys because I want you to have the product you deserve. I want us all to have it. I don't want to launch something because it was easy and it was fast. And normally I would never launch a product or platform like this having as many features. You'd have one and then you build on that, but you just can't. It's like you can't launch the iPhone with phone calls without a touch screen. It just won't work, right? It's about the thing. You got to do that. If you're going to do it well. And I really believe in that. And part of it is now how do we interact with it? And that's what we've added here with these Star Connect things. And also making it so easy for people to come here and feel like, wow, that was easy. That was fun. I want to do more of that. If we can do that, you guys are going to be happy. For those of you that have, been with us for a long time, know live, you've been here since the beginning, and you believe in this, and you believe in me, and believe in the team. I appreciate you all. I really, really, really do. I feel bad that I'm not in front of you more, and I'm going to get better at that myself and lead you better to share all the things that we do, so you can see inside of StarStake, and you never feel like, oh, what are they really up to? Are they going to actually do this? Are they going to launch this thing? I want you to know the conversations we have. I want you to know the struggles we have. I want you to know the breakthroughs we have when we have them. I have to get better as a leader to do that to you. So, but I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I know it's an hour. I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes. Nothing ever seems that way. But I will be on here more. Enjoy StarHub. Please come in here and engage with each other. We cleaned it up, so it's a lot easier to navigate now on the left-hand menu, just so you guys know. Let me just look at when you open up this side menu. I can't do it while I'm live, but you'll notice just the main StarStack main or StarHub main. That's all the things that we post and we do and the updates, announcements, stuff like that. The groups on the left is where you guys can create your posts and interact with each other. We have the open chat there. Just come in here and say hello. Please do say, hey, Chris, what's up? I'll come in here and make sure I answer you. And I want to just let you guys be part of the process more, not just sit and waiting, because that's not fun for anybody. I know that. So because we're real close, the second we open the doors in this thing, it's going to get bonkers and bananas around here. So now is the time. I definitely want to get to know you guys better. And then we are doing just a quick thing, and we'll make a formal announcement. Maria, I think we'll be doing this. We will be holding or partnering with a summit. I think it's an innovation summit in Florida next month, February 14th, Valentine's Day. So we'll be participating at this international, it's not international, innovation summit. I forget the name. Gosh, can't remember it, but it's a really great opportunity for us to Synapse Innovation Summit. Thank you, Maria. So we'll have a booth there. We'll be having some presentations, doing some really cool stuff. Really, just to talk to more B&B customers and clients, that future clients, hopefully, and just get exposure, put ourselves out there. So we'll send you some details. If you're in Florida, we'd love to see and meet you. I will be there. I think if things go well, we have to finalize the details, but just another thing, just another check mark and on our way to getting this out the door and letting everybody enjoy it. So with that, thanks everybody. I appreciate you all. Until then, I will continue to post more content for you all to enjoy and share some screenshots of the new fan score, Star Connect, SNFT stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.